Hi, I'm Michael Schwartz, naturopath, founder, formulator of Michael's Health. If there's anything I've learned in my years of practice, it's that food can either build you up or break you down. The stresses of life complicate matters even more. I've created targeted supplements based on what you yourself may have concerns about. The body heals itself once you give it what it requires. Improve your journey towards greater health. Join us at michaelshealth.com.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
A brief look at tariffs, how you can grow on LinkedIn, and I'm going to deep dive into a business structure. Hopefully that goes well on an audio podcast. Enjoy.
Were you calling to me from outside of a dream? I wanna live, I wanna love you a little longer. I was invincible many years ago when I was so much stronger.
You're listening to The Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I'm your host of this podcast, as it is my name that's in the name of it. If you're new to this podcast, this is a show about all of the things that I do to build my for-profit and nonprofit entities and all the learnings that I have along the way. And occasionally I do what I call lo-fi episodes that talk more about cultural things that I have going on or other learnings that are non-business related that I talk about. And then we will be working on, as I have said for many, many weeks now, getting interviews up into this podcast. But we kind of redirected our focus, or I redirected my focus on building our Age Radio Mercury show as I go into more and more conferences. So if you're in Arizona, I will be at Glendale Library Con at the Glendale main branch, which is roughly at, I want to say, 59th Avenue and Olive-ish across from Glendale Community College. I will be there next Saturday, December 7th. If you want to hang out, I will be doing interviews with all different kinds of cosplayers that I have met. And this is just one branch of us going into conferences and doing interviews with people. So that's going to be a really big focus of mine, not only for the Age of Jeremy podcast, but also for Age of Radio and our brand of Age of Radio Mercury. If you have a podcast and you want to talk about joining our podcast network, reach out to me at support@ageofradio.com or go over to Age of Radio either on Facebook or on Instagram and DM us. On Facebook, it is at Age of Radio. On Instagram, it is at Age of Radioverse. So we are looking to bring on new podcasts in the gaming space, in the anime space, and in the health and wellness space. Those are some of the main things that we're focusing on. And then we're going to be focusing on other types of news media that relate to those 3 topics. And gaming too, it could be video gaming, it could be tabletop gaming, it could be board gaming. So please, if you're interested in that, reach out to me. I will be reaching out to a lot of people on social media as well to bring on a lot of, to bring on more podcasts in that space, to start building that side of our network and be a more pointy on it. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but to be more focused on it. That's the word that we're looking for. December 4th, if you're interested, DM me on my Age of Jeremy Instagram. We will be doing a demo with Coach JV at, I want to say 6, 7 Eastern virtually. If you are interested in starting your own business and being a part of life insurance. Life insurance has really changed our lives, not only from the aspect of selling it, but also from the aspect of having it. It's a great way to protect your wealth. And yes, we do invest in crypto, but as our cryptos go up, we take profits and we reinvest them into things like life insurance or index universal life insurance, also into stocks and bonds, gold and silver and other commodities as well. And so those are the things that we educate people on. I do it through my brand Q Financial, and we do it through our whole brand as Milliere Warriors or through Freedom Asset Management Group. I know it might get a little bit confusing, but I'll be niching down into a lot of that. So I'm really excited about what we have going on. So make sure that you follow me everywhere on social media at Age of Jeremy. On X, it is at Age of Jeremy Q. On LinkedIn and Facebook, it is Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla. And if you want to reach out to me directly, the best way to do that is on Instagram or on Snapchat, which is at Age of Jeremy. Also, if you want to be more involved with the insights and updates that I'll be giving out throughout the week and things that go along with this specific podcast, then go ahead and follow the broadcast channel. It's called Dope Insights and Updates. It is in the it is in the Age of Jeremy Instagram. Just go to the profile and you will see that broadcast channel. All right, that is enough updates. I hope you had a very happy Thanksgiving, and we're going to kick off this podcast episode right now. We already did the intro, so I'm not 100% sure why I built it up like that, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'm really, really excited about it. So that being said, I want to start off by talking about tariffs, and this is coming from a Bloomberg's article. Yes, get a Bloomberg subscription. Everybody should have these Bloomberg subscription. I just like the New York Times, so get a New York Times subscription, Financial Times subscription, and your local newspaper subscription. I think those are some of the best things that you can have in your life. I'm subscribed to all of those except for the Financial Times and some of the New York Times stuff. So right now, and The Economist. The Economist is a great place. But this article comes from Bloomberg, so we're going to start with that. I want to bring this up because I think there's a lot of confusion around tariffs, and I think that tariffs can play an important role in certain things, especially when we look at populism. Populism traditionally arises from ideas from the past that some people thought were good, or to capture a sentiment that people think was long forgotten. And that's something that Trump does very, very well. And that's the reason why tariffs are a really big conversation. And so a lot of people are worried about tariffs. A lot of people are wondering why we're doing so many tariffs, because that can cause our goods to rise inside of the country. And the biggest places where we get a lot of our goods are from Mexico. Mexico does a lot of trade with us. Canada does a lot of trade with us, and then China does a lot of trade with us as well. And so if there is a tariff, which is a tax on the goods that are coming into that country, usually that is put onto the consumers, and it's a consumer tax that's kind of like passed through to the consumers because of it. And that's one of the reasons why goods have gone up so much over the last 4 to 8 years, because of the tariffs that Trump put in during his first term, and the tariffs that Biden also put in during his term as well, especially against China. Now, that being said, I don't think that the idea is necessarily not warranted for certain things that Trump is trying to do. So if we were looking at it just from a Trump perspective, some of these tariffs actually make sense for things that he's wanting to try to get into place. Because the idea is, and I'm not saying that I don't personally like Trump. And so I think I've made that very clear over most of my podcasts. And I don't necessarily think that he was a good president during his first term. And I'm still up in the air about this being during his second term. I feel that during his second term, because he had those first 4 years underneath him, I think that the second term that he'll have will be a little bit better for the things that he does. And I think that they might be a little bit more focused and strategic. And I think that the tariffs is one of those. So there was an article in Bloomberg Politics with the Canadian border minister, and I'm focusing on Canada because, again, we might be thinking, why are we putting tariffs on Canada? Well, a large number of immigrants do come from Canada, possibly Chinese, possibly other immigrants. I know they do have a lot of immigration from India that come to Canada. Those people could pass through Canada into America because they, at least from the way that I understood it from this article, they might have more lax border policies than, say, Mexico does on the American-Mexico border. And so one of the things that has been a lot of, concern was the tariffs that he's putting on Canada, especially because we do get a lot of goods from Canada. But the strategy really behind this is to force these people to come to the table because Trump is more of a negotiator, or at least that's how he's built his brand, on being a negotiator and trying to get things done through the art of conversation or through the art of negotiation. And I'm not saying that that is a bad way to go. I think sometimes a negotiation can be a little slimy, but that does have to do with my belief system in capitalism and Marxian economics. But that part aside, if we're looking at it from a capitalist perspective, negotiation works a lot better than going to war. And one of the ways in which you do that is you can threaten people with tariffs to get them to sit down at the table with you. And that's essentially what happened with Justin Trudeau and his Canadian border minister. So Prime Minister Trudeau, and again, this is from Bloomberg's, this was written by Randy Tonathong/Knight or Dash Knight. So Randy Tontahong -Night. There's an article. The link to the article will be in the episode description. I just want to make sure that Bloomberg's and this gentleman, this journalist, gets recognition for his writing, because this is where I'm getting it from. And so Prime Minister Trudeau's government will step up border enforcement, which is one of the reasons why Trump wanted to bring him to the table, because of the fentanyl that comes to the Canadian border, at least from a top level reasoning why. That's the reason why he's wanting to get him to the table, so he can make better border policies, or Trudeau and Canada can make better border policies, so we don't have a flood of drugs and immigrants coming in from the Canadian border. So Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government will step up border enforcement in a visible and muscular way, according to a top Canadian official, as the nation tries to avoid tariffs from Donald Trump's new administration. At a dinner meeting at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort on Friday, so this would have been the 30th, the 29th, we got a mutual understanding of what they're concerned about in terms of border security measures, said Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, said in an interview with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. The government will announce additional border resources in the coming days or weeks, which may include more drones, helicopters, and staff, LeBlanc said. LeBlanc was one of the handful of Canadian officials who attended the dinner with Trump and Trudeau, where the two, I don't know why I say Trudeau's name, Trudeau, and LeBlanc, where the two leaders discussed a wide range of issues, including movements of fentanyl and unauthorized migrants. Those are the problems Trump's raised in a social media post on Monday that he vowed to hit Canada and Mexico with 20% tariffs unless the two neighbors address these issues. So essentially, the purpose of the tariffs was to get them to the table to address these specific issues. And so it doesn't turn into a tariff war, which could hurt Canada and Mexico. They went and sat down with him, and then they're trying to figure out what it is that he's proposing and what he wants. So LeBlanc, whose portfolio includes Canada's border agency, told the CBS he discussed tariffs and the border with Howard Lutnick, Trump's pick for Commerce Secretary. The two men exchanged text messages over the weekend and are likely to meet again soon, he said. Trump invited Trudeau to Florida during a phone conversation on Monday evening, according to LeBlanc. It was a very warm, cordial meeting, and I saw very much the mutual respect and warmth between the two leaders, he said of Friday's dinner discussion. Trump said on social media on Saturday, which would have been the 30th, Trump said on social media on the 30th that Trudeau has made a commitment to work with us to impede drug trafficking. So if we're talking about an actual win, if the true real purpose was to do this specifically, and there wasn't some underlining purpose to have the tariffs on. So at the top level, without trying to go into conspiracy theories, the reason why Trump is doing this is to get these leaders to sit down with him so that he can discuss the problems that he's having with the borders between us and Canada and us and Mexico, and trying to resolve specific issues. And so I think that that's really important to note. Now, if they decide not to do that, then the tariffs will get out of hand, and those tariffs could cause a war, which in return would cause consumer goods to go up like they did in the first Trump administration, which we still have on our goods from China and possibly other countries, and then on the goods that Biden did tariffs on for China as well. So again, tariffs are usually a tactic that's utilized in some capacity. And again, I'm not saying that it's good or bad. It depends on at what length and what promises are made for the tariffs and going through with them. But I think these basic tariffs, we're going to have to see what happens going into the Trump administration, because these could just be tactics And I do believe that they're just tactics at this point, at least with Canada and Mexico, to force them to sit down with him to negotiate whatever it is that we want so that we end up winning. The one warning that I would say to this is it continues to make us look like a bully, and that's going to make it very difficult for people to want to work with us as we continue to move forward. Because it's funny that a lot of people, I think, that are in the Trump camp are against a one world order and a one country or a one group of people running the entire world, yet they are supportive of that when it's the United States that tend to be that one world country or that one world entity that's running the entire world. And that's what we're starting to see, especially when you get dictator, or I guess, I don't want to say Trump's a dictator, and I don't want to say that he's necessarily fascist. I think he has strongman qualities that traditionally are qualities that you see in fascists and dictators. And so I just think it's funny that people support it when it's us, but don't support it when it's someone else. And that's something that I think that we should all look deep inside about as well.
Hi, I'm Michael Schwartz, naturopath, founder, formulator of Michael's Health. If there's anything I've learned in my years of practice, it's that food can either build you up or break you down. The stresses of life complicate matters even more. I've created targeted supplements based on what you yourself may have concerns about. The body heals itself once you give it what it requires. Improve your journey towards greater health. Join us at michaelshealth.com.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
All right, this week in the social media marketing jungle, I don't have any sound effects, mainly because I got a lot going on and I'm not going to put sound effects in these. Eventually, I'm going to get an editor and then he can put sound effects into these. But if we're talking about social media, I found this out last week. Again, my goal with social media is to continue to utilize social media to build my friendships around the world and build really strong friendships with them. In fact, social media has helped me meet so many new amazing people, and it will continue to help me meet new and amazing people. And one of the ways to do that is to grow on social media. And one of the ways to grow on social media is on LinkedIn. Now, I utilize LinkedIn for lots of things. I have a short video that I try to do every single day lately over the last couple of weeks because of everything's going on. And then I've been dealing with getting over some illnesses and sicknesses and getting some rest. And so I've been posting maybe 2 or 3 times a week on my own, and then getting creator Trey to post a lot on the Age of Radioverse. And as I'm saying that, I forgot to post one of his freaking posts last week, but I think we can make up for it. I don't think everything's super time sensitive and oriented on social media because they don't necessarily send it out to you and you don't necessarily see it in your feed in a traditionally calendar or up-to-date way. Now you can, I'm just saying that you don't always, so it's okay to post of things that might have been posted previously, and that's going to make me feel better about me missing that post the other day because I've been crazy busy because Friday and Saturday I celebrated my mother's birthday. It was amazing. We went and saw Red One, and we went and saw The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, which, while it is a Christian movie and I am traditionally not super into Christianity, that movie was really good. But that's because I'm super into Christmas and I enjoy Christmas from a non-Christian perspective, more from a Yuletide perspective or from a pagan perspective. But we're not going to go into that. We're going to talk more about LinkedIn. So I use one of my shorts. I post that on LinkedIn, and then I try to comment stuff throughout the day, and I try to repost stuff just to keep the feed going as I continuously re-strategize and build my specific brand, which has been a little, hasn't been super hurt necessarily, but I have dropped a lot of followers on Instagram because of some people, fake Jeremy's, paying people to follow Jeremy, and then their accounts getting shut down, and it just skyrocketed my followers. So I had to get rid of all those followers, and now I'm rebuilding it back. And I continuously refuse to get a new Instagram account. I would rather just get rid of all the followers and keep going. And but when you consistently try to post on a regular basis, you can see that those, I guess, views are going up. So that's really good. So I take that video and I put it on LinkedIn, and then I put some other stuff on LinkedIn, and I'm really happy about that. And LinkedIn is growing. But one of the things that LinkedIn has is a tool to help see how you're contributing and how you're pushing things in your profile feed that will allow you to help grow. And the way that you do that is if you're on LinkedIn and you go to the profile at the top. So let's go to the profile on my LinkedIn page. And then if we go to the profile at the top of the page, and again, you can find this video in my broadcast channel. I'll make a recording of it and I'll throw it in there to go along with this podcast. So make sure that you head on over to Age of Jeremy, go to profile, go to the dope insights and updates in the profile of Age of Jeremy. Follow that and you'll see the video that I'm talking about. So when you go inside of there, you're going to go in there and you are going to go to your profile and you're just going to click your main profile feed so it pushes it over to your feed. And when you get there, it's going to have a spot for analytics. And when you go to the analytics, nope, I lied to you. I freaking lied to you. You know what? I don't know. Hold on, everybody. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. Where is it at? Okay. If you go to your profile and you hit your main profile and it takes you over there, you're going to see a spot that says analytics. It's going to say your profile views, your post impressions, and your search appearances. If you click on show analytics, it's going to bring you to a little block of all of your analytics. So I'm up 0.2% on my followers, 588. So go follow me on LinkedIn. Actually, even if you don't follow me on LinkedIn, go and look at some of the posts and see if it's something that you're interested in and engage on it. Some of them are going to be different than on some of the other social media platforms that you see me on, and that's what makes it exciting. But what makes it more exciting is they have what's called a weekly sharing tracker. Increase your visibility by posting, commenting, or contributing to collaborative articles. We suggest taking 3 actions every single week. So right now, on my last week, November 25th through December 1st, because it looks like it's a running week, it shows 9 posts, 7 comments, and 0 contributions. One of the biggest things that I'm an advocate for on my brand and on your brand as you grow your specific individual brand as well as your business brand, you want to be a thought leader. And one of the ways to be a thought leader is to make contributions onto things in which you want to be a thought leader about. So I have 0 contributions. So hopefully this week, my goal is to look at this throughout the week and say, okay, I have 9 posts, I have 7 comments, I have 0 contributions. I need to do more contributions, and it will push me to do more contributions. So again, in the broadcast channel, there will be a video on how to find this. But essentially you go to your profile in the top left on the phone, you're going to hit your main profile. You're going to go to show all analytics, and then you're going to see your weekly sharing tracker. So let me know either on Snapchat or in the broadcast channel or DM me if you were using that weekly sharing tracker and if it helped you at all. I would be really excited to hear from you. All right. Again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. If you're a 3T Warrior Academy member, you can reach out to me for questions generally, or if you want me to answer some questions on the podcast, reach out to me in our Mighty Networks in the business forum. If you follow me, I post a little post in my broadcast channel to ask me questions. They can be business related questions. They could be financial related questions, insurance related questions, what other questions are that you have, crypto related questions. You can go ahead and ask me there, and I will work to answer them on this specific podcast. And so since we don't have any questions from this previous week, I do want to just kick you over some updates that I have going on for businesses. Again, the biggest update, and I really want you all to think about doing this yourself, is to do your own networking and conferencing events. So there's 2 aspects of conferencing. It is going to conferences and networking and building your relationships, which you should definitely do and set a goal to do them. And then there's also your business being at conferences, talking to people, networking in that capacity. So again, that's the reason why I'm doing all of these conferences. We will be doing LibCon in Glendale. We will be doing a East Asian conference here in the upcoming beginning of the year. We will be at the Tempe conference. We will be at XRP Las Vegas for Merlin. Oh, and at the Tempe conference, it'll be for Age of Radio. On the East Asian conference, that go on, or like the places where there are like big events for different ethnic groups, especially in a state where you have lots of different ethnic groups. They usually have like, El Salvadoran Day or Mexican Day or, East Asian Day or Chinese Day. And so you can buy booths for those. And so my plan is to go to all of them for insurance and for financial services, to build that arm of the business. And so my goal is to do 12 conferences this next year. That means some of the months are going to have one or two, some of them are going to have one, some might have three. Again, it's about really getting out there and getting involved with events and networking for a couple of reasons. From a business side of it, it's really good for building the relationships, especially if you're a startup. And then you have to nurture those relationships, which is something that I want to study more of and share with you as well as I learn how to nurture those types of relationships. I'm in some mentor groups with some of the relationships that I am working to foster in this capacity. But it does take a lot of work. And I think that that's one of the reasons people think that they go to a networking event and they meet someone and that's the end of the deal. You have to build strong relationships. You have to spend time with people. One of the things I've been learning from one of my mentors in a group that I have is it's all about FaceTime. And that FaceTime isn't like our, Apple product FaceTime. That FaceTime is all about actually being face to face with someone in person. The more that you're in person with someone, the more people that you do galas with, the more people that you go to dinners with, the more people that you play squash with or pickleball with, the more people that you go and see, the more you're going to remember for your skill set and the things that people may watch you for. You couple that with social media and there's no stopping you. It just takes a long time and it has to be a constant activity that you are doing. And it has to be something that hopefully that you enjoy. I enjoy hanging out with meeting people. Now, the things that I do with those people, I'm very specific around. I'm not a big golfer. I would rather play racquetball or even to some extent pickleball. I'm going to a pickleball event here on December 12th. That's a networking event for Arizona Pickleball Club or whatever. And so I'm probably going to try to get me a little pickleball trainer or a pickleball person to help me out with that because I'm, fortunate enough to be able to do those types of things. And then when I go to that, I can actually play pickleball, have fun, meet people, start good friendships, get on their Instagram, follow them, like them, do that. I mean, just from my UWU conference, I have like 5 new friends that I talk to on Instagram all the time. And so again, it's about really learning how to nurture those relationships. And that's one of the biggest next steps that I'm really focusing on, not only like nurturing client relationships, but nurturing relationships for people that you want to have in your life to be a part of your whole ecosystem, what you're trying to accomplish. So that's one of like the main things that I'm doing is these conferences. And I really strongly recommend that you focus on those types of conferences and the conferences where you're not going to get a table for like industry conferences. Like I should be at the Intuit conference every single year networking with other accounting professionals and financial service professionals. There is a lot of work and energy that goes into these types of things. And you have to be out there at those industry standard conferences to meet people. And then you re-meet people and then you meet up there and then you have drinks and you have dinner and you talk and you have fun. And so you have to be able to have those conversations. You have to be able to enjoy being around people. You have to be able to be good at meeting friends. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm really focused on over the next 5 to 10 years, hardcore focused on over the next 5 to 10 years. And then I can back off as I kind of do it, continue to do it. One of the things that I realized is, having, close friends is really important, but then you also have like layers of different friends that you keep in your life that still need nurturing, that you still want to have in case of something happens with those closer friends that you aren't able to communicate with. And what's sad about it is that we have more tools these days to be able to stay in communication with people, but we are further apart than we were before. And that's because we use them in, I think, incorrect ways. The other thing that I'm really focusing on is building the social media brand for Q Financial. So you will be seeing me talk about a lot, joining the Q Financial Instagram, going and following the Q Financial website, following us on LinkedIn, following me on Nextdoor, and talking more about financially focused content. So on my main content, my focus is going to be on Monday's personal finance. Well, it goes in this pattern. It goes in this pattern, but sometimes they don't meet these days. So it is spiritual, personal finance, crypto, marketing, something that's going on with the business, something that's going on with what I'm learning about with games and things that are fun to me, and then also what I'm reading on. So those are the 5 posts or 7 posts that I tried to get throughout the week in a rotating base. So the last post that I did was on personal finance. So then the next post that I'm going to do is on cryptocurrency, specifically probably talking about cryptocurrency as it relates to what's going on with XRP right now and what's going on with the financial services industry and things of, I think the regulation with Trump will be really important, and that will really grow cryptocurrency. Like right now, last time I saw it, XRP was over $2. It might have pulled back. Let's see where it's at right now. XRP is still pumping. So XRP is at $2.31. It's the highest I think that I've seen it. It might be the highest that it's ever been. I can't remember what the high reached during the last bull run, but we've broken out of that, and that's just going to continue to go. So we want to see it over the next 4 years, probably somewhere to $3 to $5. Some people think it can get close to $10. So again, that's why I'm talking a lot about people getting into XRP. But as far as updates go, that'll probably be the second biggest update, is really focusing on building out the Q Financial brand, the Q Financial content. And then I hired someone who's going to come on and do a lot of distribution for me for shorts, videos. And I'm really excited to see where that goes with the growth and the engagement and building a strong business with it as well. So those are the things that I have going on.
This episode is brought to you by Atlassian. Atlassian makes the team collaboration software that powers enterprise businesses around the world, including over 80% of the Fortune 500. With Atlassian's AI-powered software like Jira, Confluence, and Loom, you'll have more time to do the work that matters. In fact, Atlassian customers experience a 25% reduction in project duration per year. Unleash the potential of your team at Atlassian.com. Atlassian.
This is one of the most difficult things to talk about with people because it's complicated if you don't know it. And then it's not very complicated if you do know it. So it makes it kind of difficult to have real easy, fast conversations without actually sitting down and doing it myself. But it's the one question that I get the most from everybody is how they should structure their businesses. So last week, one of the warriors in our 3-2 Warrior Academy, they asked me to talk about, if they should have a corporation or an LLC, what would be better for the taxes. Now, traditionally, if you're not making a ridiculous, so this is the first rule of thumb that you want to think about. If you are not leaving money in the business, so that means that you are taking all the money out of the business. If you are leaving money in the business, like to have savings or to invest with or something along those lines, it is better to have a corporation that is taxed like a C corporation, because the money that's in the business will be what's taxed, and you can just pay it from the business and you don't have to pay it on top of your income tax. The problem is with that is C corporations have what's called double taxation. So the corporation itself pays taxes on its profit, and then any dividends that you take from the company, you pay profits on as well. And that's what we call double taxation. And that's, there's lots of different things that people think are double taxation, but when we're talking about real double taxation and not like money that's being taxed multiple times, which does happen, this is literally the same profit that's being taxed the same multiple times. Okay. And so that's one of the reasons why we traditionally most people don't recommend C Corps. Now, C corporations usually have shareholders. Well, they do have shareholders. They have board members. They have to have annual meetings, and those are all required by the state, traditionally in which the business was started in. And in my opinion, C corporations or corporations in general, are the best form of entity to have. Because it creates a structure in which the owners don't necessarily have to be the strategists, and the strategists don't necessarily have to run the company, because you have shareholders and you have board members and then you have executives, and the executives are the managers that are employees that run the company. Executive a lot of the times are the chairman of the boards. They're in the boards, and then they also run on committees of the boards, and then the shareholders are just the people that buy and share the stock. In my opinion, corporations, either profit and or for profit, are the best structure of companies. And in my opinion, there is no other better structure of a company. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that that's going to be the right company for you to do when you start out. So most people ask if they should do an LLC or something along those lines, and what tax benefit. The entity itself traditionally doesn't create any benefit of taxes. So if you were doing a limited liability company, or what people traditionally refer to as an LLC, LLCs do not have any type of its own tax classification. The LLC, if it has one member out the gate, is usually taxed like a sole proprietor. So that means that any income that comes into that LLC, you are able to write off on a Schedule C, I think it is, on a Schedule C. Yeah, Schedule C. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on the letter. On a Schedule C, you get to write off any of your expenses off of that money that you made for your business. And then what is ever left over goes on top of your income tax bracket. And you will pay employee taxes of, I think, like 15% on that money as well. So not only will you pay 15% for employee taxes like state, FICA, Medicare, things of that nature, you'll also pay state taxes on that profit and Fed taxes, but it will be taxed at whatever your income bracket is that it falls into with your other money. Okay. So that's how traditional sole proprietorships work. Okay. There's no, if you have a limited liability company on it, you have limited liability as if you get sued, they can only go after the money that you have been using for the business traditionally, and they can't go over after your personal property. But as far as the taxes are concerned, it still gets taxes if you were doing business as yourself. Okay. When you have someone else involved with it, you have a partnership. So if it's a dual member LLC, it'll be taxed as a partnership. And so if it's taxed as a partnership, if both partners are actively working in the business, then everything that I just said about the sole proprietorship is the same. So you get to write off the LLC will file its own taxes, but you'll get a K1, and whatever's left as profit on that K1 and whatever's put on that K1 as money that should be taxed for employee taxes, you'll get a K1 for, and then you will give that to your accountant and they will file that, and the income will go on top of whatever your income tax bracket is. So if you fall in the 22% after your other money that you get, then all of that will fall in the 22% tax bracket. The money that they have marked on that K1 that is for employee taxes, you will still pay the Medicare and the FICA and everything on it. The only time that will not happen is if a partner is not actively involved with the business. And if the partner is not actively involved with the business, they will just get the pass-through taxes onto their income or the losses on their income, and they will not pay the employee taxes. Okay. And there are some instances where that works. If me and someone starts a partnership, they just want to put money into the business and they don't want to actively work in it, and I'm actively working in it, then I will get my losses carried over to me or my profit carried over to me, and I will pay taxes on that profit that I have, whether or not it's really key here. It's whether or not I actually took that money out of the business or not. So for example, if we have a business and the profit is $100,000 and me and my partner are 50-50, but I decided to leave the money in the business, I still will have to pay taxes on half of that $100,000. So if we left it all in the business and we made $100,000, that's $50,000 belongs to me. I pay taxes on $50,000 of that money, no matter what. Even if I didn't receive it, I still will pay $50,000 off, or still pay taxes on that $50,000. Okay. Now, the other way in which LLCs can be taxed is through an S corporation. And so it's not as an X corporation, it's just taxed like an S corporation. And everything that I just said is the same, except you don't have to pay the employee taxes as an S corporation. You will have to pay yourself as a W-2 a legitimate wage. So for example, if you and your partner are making $1 million, you pay yourself $100,000 a year. He, at that point in time, either has to be a W-2 employee or as a passive investor, in which case, if he's still a passive investor, he won't be a W-2 employee, and he will have to pay his bleed through that comes through to that, but he won't have to pay employee taxes because he's not a W-2 on the business. So if you're a W-2 on the business, then you pay all of your state taxes based off of what you pay yourself. And so traditionally, if you're making $75,000, $100,000, $200,000 a year, and you are, at that amount of money, it makes more sense to be taxed like an S corp, because you can pay yourself as a W-2 for $75,000 or $80,000 or $100,000, and you will only pay employee taxes on up to whatever it is that you're paying yourself as a W-2 employee. Everything else you will just pay the income taxes on. So yes, you're paying your income tax as a W-2 employee, but if you have another $100,000 or $200,000 worth of profit, you don't have to pay any employee taxes on like that Medicare, FICA, and so forth. You don't have to pay that on that other money. You just have to pay the income taxes and state taxes on that. And you can just take that out and do whatever you want with it, because you're going to have to pay taxes on it no matter what. And that's the reason why, if you are leaving money in the business, most people say to do a C corporation as a corporation and not an S corp, and not a bleed through or a pass through entity. Okay. So The LLCs can be taxed in 3 ways. They can be taxed as a single member LLC, which is taxed like a sole proprietorship, or disassociated entity is what they call it. You can be taxed as a partnership, or you can be taxed as an S corp. You have to file a form to be taxed like an S corp. Okay. If you are a multi-member LLC, the IRS will automatically list you as a partnership. If you're a single member LLC, it'll automatically list you as a sole proprietor. Okay. That's just for LLCs. Now, then you can actually set up an S corporation, which acts as a corporation, but it has other things that go along with it, which I'm not going to go into specifically here because it's just, you can't have more than 100 shareholders. It can't be owned. There's certain people that can't own those shares. I can't remember off the top of my head. And it gets taxed just like I talked about as the LLC. The only difference is that you have to file an annual report, and you have to have a, I believe you have to have a board of directors, and you also have to, yes, you have to have a board of directors, and you have to have an annual meeting. Okay. And you can only have, I think it's one type of stock. So you can only have common stock, but you can have different classes of common stock for that S corp. And then there's a corporation that is a C corporation taxation, and the C corporation works with everything, like I said, but you can have multiple classes of stock. You can have as many shareholders as you want. And anybody can, for the most part, own the shares of the C corp. But again, the C corp gets taxed, and then your dividends or your distributions, if you're thinking of it from a pass-through entity perspective, get taxed also as well. And so as Q Financial gets a little bit better, we will also, not better, but more structure or processes, we will be doing more of these. And I will be doing more of these in our Mighty Network, in our 3-2 Warrior Academy, if you want to join the 3-2 Warrior Academy. So again, you only have LLCs, you have corporations, you do have partnerships, and you have limited partnerships, which I'm not going to go into. I have limited partnerships. They work really good for investment funds, and for 506Bs. But again, most of the time people are wanting to know what they should do as an LLC or an organization. And I tell people, just do it as an LLC. There is no real big benefit out the gate of having a different type of structure for your company. Most of the benefit comes from the planning that you do throughout the year. Okay. So I reiterate, you should have someone that's meeting with you quarterly, talking with you about your tax plan. And if you're Coach JV and you're listening to this, I'm so behind on that because we've been so busy. But the point is like me and Coach, we try to meet every quarter to talk about taxes and the tax planning structure of what's going on. It doesn't happen because we're super busy and I don't have enough people working on my team, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing a lot of these changes, so I can start building my actual Q Financial services team. And so that's one of the most important things that I can't stop reiterating, is having extra help. But the point is that if you get all of your stuff together and you give it to your accountant at the end of the year, and expect your accountant or your tax filer to find a way for you to not pay anything, that's use. The planning stages happen throughout the year, and they happen for many years previously to that. So the one thing that I can tell every business owner and individual here, have a quarterly time frame that you meet and talk about your tax planning with your accountant or your financial professional that you work with. One of the things that I do with Q Financial is I try to meet with my clients every quarter. We talk about what's going on with that, and then we kind of strategize with that, unless you're Coach JV, in which case I'm super behind on that. But the point is, again, I can't reiterate it enough. Taxes, the benefit of taxes is through the planning and the bookkeeping, and most of those types of strategies come from that. When it comes to credits and things like that, a lot of that is for corporations, and they don't really fall into LLCs. Okay. And so they can, and there can be business type of credits, and you need to know about those. And you should be following blogs or reading up on them, or your accountant should be sending out a newsletter. That's one of the things that we'll be working on with Q Financial for taxes as well. Because I think taxes need to be better, not necessarily lower, but they need to be better. They need to be better enforced, but taxes can play a really important part, in my opinion, of growing your society and your community. But we'll save that for another time. But again, you have LLCs. LLCs have single member, which are taxed as a as a sole proprietor, right, or a disassociated entity, I think is what it's called. And then you have partnerships, and then you have S corps. But then you have corporations that can either be an actual S corp, or corporation that's taxed like an S corp, or corporation that's taxed like a C corp. So those are the main entities. But if you're going out the gate, start with an LLC. If you're single member, it'll just be taxed normally. Make sure that you have a plan in place to get stuff expensed, and the LLC itself won't have to actually file taxes unless you're a partnership or taxed like an S corp. So I know that was a lot of information. I think having more conversations about it. If you want to ask me questions, reach out to me on Snapchat, reach out to me on Instagram. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. And make sure that you follow the broadcast channel in Age of Jeremy, because I will be putting out more information there. And I'll be also putting out the video on LinkedIn where to find the weekly views as well. That being said, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk with you next time. Bye.
You were born in your dying, honey. I'm already crying for you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Age of Jeremy. Again, my name is Jeremy Quintanilla. Follow me on all socials at Age of Jeremy, unless it's on X, it is Age of Jeremy Q, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, it is Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla, because I have to have my full name on there so it matches my driver's license. I'm super, super excited about it. Super stoked about it. The opening song was Gaslight Anthem, Positive Change. The closing song was Trevor Hall's The Gardens. I am recording on a Neumann KSM 104, I believe. I'm recording into my Zoom L8. I'm recording into Steinberg's Cubase, and I'm using Waves of plugins. And also to rate this podcast, rate it whatever you think it deserves. Share this podcast, subscribe to this podcast. And one last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk with you next time. Bye.
You were born in your dying, honey. I'm already crying for you.
Hi, I'm Michael Schwartz, naturopath, founder, formulator of Michael's Health. If there's anything I've learned in my years of practice, it's that food can either build you up or break you down. The stresses of life complicate matters even more. I've created targeted supplements based on what you yourself may have concerns about. The body heals itself once you give it what it requires. Improve your journey towards greater health. Join us at michaelshealth.com.